Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Jackie and let's get started. For DIY number 1, we're going to begin with 4 of these Dollar Tree little panels and some of the Elaine's tacky glue. I really like using this tacky glue for my wood projects. I've always had very good results and it dries pretty well, pretty quickly. So I really like it better than just hot glue. Hot glue seems to leave a gap or like a space, and this Elaine's tacky glue just glues really well and really tight, and there's no gaps anywhere. So now I'm going to use a couple of these craft sticks just to help secure the back as we wait for the tacky glue to dry, or you could just let it dry naturally, but I wanted to move forward and continue with my project. So craft sticks it is. Okay, so now I'm going to add some more of the tacky glue, and I'm going to glue the 2 sets of these little panels for a total of four panels. And now I'm going to go in with some of this Waverly Antique wax, and I'm going to apply it with a baby wipe, and this will help it spread well and give it like a thin coat like this. And now I'm going to go in with the same wax and a small little paintbrush to take care of all the little gaps in the center in between each of the little panels. So it's really difficult to get to those little pieces, so a little brush will do. And now I'm going to go in with some of the Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster, and I'm going to take a brush, a chippy brush, and just lightly dab and dry brush this whole piece. And so I'll just keep going until I get it to where I like it. I don't want to do a heavy distressing, just enough to where you can see a little bit of the highlights of the definition of all the lines. And so I just keep going until I get it the way I like it, and just like this. So now I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to hot glue a piece of rope on one side in the center on the top, and I'm going to fasten it with a small piece of a craft stick just to give it a little bit more security. And I'll do the same thing to the other side. So I'll add my little piece of rope and a little piece of a craft stick just to secure it well. Once that's dry, then I'll flip it back over and I'll pull the 2 pieces of rope over, and I'll adhere that to the other side as well on the bottom. And again, I'll place another little piece of the craft stick and snip off the excess of the rope, and I'll do the same thing to the other side. And now I'll go in with some of these succulents, and they come in a little clip. They're just called succulent clips. And I begin with 3. I thought I had 4 of these, but apparently I had only picked up 3. But I'm going to use these little alligator clips to hang on the rope. So it's just real easy. You just open the little clip and place it on the rope. But I went ahead and removed them because I remembered I wanted to put a Cricut vinyl on here. And so I had cut out this little word that says home, and it's just a file out of the Cricut design space. It's just easy to find. You just search for it. And so I'm going to place it in the center of these 4 little palettes and just rub it a little bit, and then just remove the transfer tape. And look how cute, just super cute. And now with my home on there, now I can place my little alligator clip succulents back on. And so I'll do all 3. And since I didn't have a 4th, I thought, well, I've got to do something. I don't want it to be too odd. So I picked up this other little succulent that came in a little pot, and I pulled it out. And thankfully I had another little alligator clip, and so I just hot glued the alligator clip to the back of this succulent. And once the glue was cool and dry, then all I had to do was clip that on the bottom, and look, so cute. So now I'm flipping it over, and I'm going to get another piece of rope and adhere that to the back. I'll use another little piece of a craft stick to help secure it in place. Add a dab of glue with my little craft stick, and then do the same thing on the other side. Little dab of glue, little craft stick, and that's it. She is done. Super cute. What do you guys think? Well, I sure hope you enjoyed that craft, and I wanted to pop on real quick and mention that today's video is a part of So You Think You Can Craft monthly challenge, and the item of the month is wood, scrap wood. And this is a monthly challenge hosted by Melissa at Melissa Makes It DIY, and this month it is co-hosted by Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs. And like with most craft challenges, this challenge has a playlist, and so when you're done viewing my video, please head on over to my description box and follow the playlist and watch what the other creators have decided to create for this challenge. And I'll also pin it in my comments just in case those links don't work. Okay, let's get back into the crafts. For DIY number 2, I'm going to take 4 of these Crafter Square little wood planks, and I'm going to do the same similar method as I did with the little pallets. I'm going to take some of my Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm going to glue them all together to make one large piece like this, and I'll secure them all with little pieces of craft sticks, one in the center and one on each joint, like so. And once that's done, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to go in with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster and give it one full coat. And I don't know what happened to my footage, but I did distress it, and as you can see here, I was just finishing up, so I don't know what happened, but it got distressed with the antique wax. And here it is all nice and dry. And so now I'm going to go in with this Cricut vinyl that's just from the design space, and it's a very pretty design. It says Home Sweet Home. I think it's really cute. I like all the little scrollies on it, and I like the font. So I'm just going to place this in the center of this whole setup, and once that's on there, I'll go in with some Mod Podge to help seal it all up, and I'll use the same paintbrush that I used earlier to paint and distress, because I want some of the remainder of the paint to help distress the wording a little bit. So I just go over the whole thing with that same brush, some Mod Podge, and whatever paint is on there as well. So just do that real quick. And so now I'm going to use these scrap pieces of wood from my backyard. I'm not really sure where they came from, but they were there, so they're mine now. So I'm just going to kind of figure out how much length I want, and I draw a little line with my Sharpie, and I take my miter shears and snip off the portion that I would like. And I'll do the same thing for the bottom portion. I'll just kind of use the first piece as a guide, make a little mark, and cut that piece off. And now I'll do the same thing to the sides. I'll grab another piece of this scrap wood, and I'll kind of roughly measure enough for the 2 sides, snip those off. And now I'm going to go ahead and sand the little ends a little bit because they're a little bit too rough. So I'll go ahead and do that to all 4 of these pieces on both ends. And now I can begin to assemble everything. And so I kind of dry fit everything how I'd like it. And now I'll go in with some of the hot glue, and I'll add a bead, a nice long bead of glue, and put that on the side. And I'll do the same to the top and to the bottom. And once I have my pieces of wood, my framing on there, then I can begin to embellish. And I feel like it's been a minute since I've used some jute twine, because you know I am the jute twine queen. So had to use some jute twine. So I'm just going to wrap around the top, and I'm going to wrap it a good, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, and then I'll snip off the excess and hot glue it in place. And I'll do the same thing to the other side. And now I'm going to use a little bit of this foliage from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to snip off the long pieces, the long ends, and kind of place it where I think I want it, which is right underneath the jute twine. And so I'll place a dab of glue on there and place the 2 picks. And now I'm thinking it's needing a little bit of color. So I'm taking this floral from the Dollar Tree. It's called Spike. And it's really pretty. And I'm just taking a couple of these little flowers, and while the glue is still hot, I'll press these in there. And I don't know about you guys, but I love to embellish my signs. I really do. So here I'm going to take these craft icons from the Dollar Tree, and they're the cute little hearts. So I'm just going to use the one design that's on the bottom. I think that heart is so sweet, so cute. And so I'm just going to use it as is, place it there on the very bottom corner, add a little dab of glue, and place it on there. So cute. Now all I'll have to do is add a hanger. And so I'm just taking this rope, and I'm just going to simply hot glue it in place. Put a little dab on one side and put a little dab on the other side. And she is done. What do you guys think? For DIY number 3, I'm taking this 2x4 scrap piece of wood that was from my backyard, and I'm using the same brush that I used for the other projects. And so I'm doing a combination of the plaster Waverly chalk paint and the antique wax as well. Once it's all painted, I'm going to go in with some of these wood letters from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to pick out the letters to spell the word blessed. And now I'm going to go in with the Waverly antique wax and just lightly brush all these letters with the same brush that I've been using with all my other projects this day. And so this brush has all kinds of paint on it. It's got Mod Podge, it's got the plaster paint, it's got the antique wax. But you know what? I'm gonna go for it. And I'm just going to give a real light brushing on all these letters and give it the look that I want until I'm happy with it. And I want it to look a little bit old, a little bit worn. And so I'll just work with this until I get it the way I want it. Now that it's dry, I can place them on my 2x4. Make sure that all the letters are going to fit just right. And move them up a little bit if I need to before I commit to the hot glue. You know how that goes. Once you commit to that hot glue, that's it. I think that's why I like the Aleene's tacky glue a little bit more, because you can place it around and move it and do what you need to do. With hot glue, yeah, you better commit. Especially these little thin letters. Can you imagine trying to take these off? They'll break for sure. For sure. They're so thin. So I just go ahead and glue all these in place. And now I'm going to take one of these little home wood pieces from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go in with the antique wax. And again, I'm going to use the same brush. So that brush has all kinds of paint on it. But I kind of like that look. I kind of like that combination of all the different colors. And look how cute. So I'll make sure to do the front, the top, the back, the sides, all of it. But not a full coverage. I won't mind if there's a little bit of wood peeking out. I kind of prefer it actually. Because when I distress it, it'll help it all be more cohesive. If that makes sense. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So now that my 2x4 and my letters are all nice and dry, I'm going to just simply hot glue this home piece onto the top of this 2x4. And look how cute! I love to be home blessed. Yes, home blessed. And so now I'm taking that same brush and go over it a little bit more, because I kind of feel like the letters need just a little bit more coverage. And so I'll just work on it a little bit, and also go in with the plaster to help give everything a nice little distressing, but real light. This one will be a real light brushing, and mostly on the letters and also on the sides. And with this one, I'm just going to embellish it a tiny little bit with some of this foliage from the Dollar Tree, which kind of looks like boxwood to me, but they call it foliage. So hey, foliage it is. And so I'm just going to tack it a little bit with some hot glue on the side and on the back, and make sure it's secure well. And that's it. I am done. What do you guys think? And I'd like to take a moment to thank Melissa over at Melissa Makes It DIY for hosting this challenge, and also to Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs for co-hosting. I really had a fun time. And don't forget to check out the playlist, follow it, and watch what the other participants have decided to create with scrap wood. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And until my next video, stay healthy, safe, and strong, and have a great, great day. Bye-bye.